As the title suggested, yes, we got scammed in the Philippines. It was not our first time to the Philippines.
So we'd been in the Philippines for about 2 weeks, and we stayed at Moalboal. We're not quite sure how to say it. It's Moalboal. Moalboal. Anyway, so we stayed there for a week, then we moved. We had business stuff to do up at the Shangri-La in Cebu, I think it is, which is a 5-star resort. We decided we couldn't afford to stay there for the weekend because the prices were double and upwards for the weekend. So we went to a 4-star resort called B-E, easy to spell and easier to say than Moalboal, which was just down the road.
B Resort, yes.
Yeah, B Resort. We got down there. It was quiet. I think we got a car down there.
We shared a taxi with another bloke that was also budget like us, and he moved as well.
Budget, tight, whichever way you want to look at it. That's where the next story sort of comes in. Anyway, you can start it.
So there's no video footage of the day, but I do have some photos. I took them throughout the day. Did you take any?
I'm not really good at taking photos. I like them, don't get me wrong. I just tend not to. I get caught in the moment instead of capturing the moment, whereas Gay's better at capturing it. Sometimes it's frustrating too. Anyway, move on. I'll be like, oh, something's shiny over there, and Gay's like, hang on, I just want to take a photo. I'm like, But it is good.
So we did a bit of research and we found the mall that we wanted to go to, checked it with the concierge or the front desk, and they're like, yeah, no worries. How much will it be? Approximately 300 pesos. Now, pesos aren't very much, mind you, so this story is not about the money. So it was
Principle.
Like... So even though that we're at a 4-star resort, they still had security, so there was gates there and it was controlled who came in and who came out. The same as the Shangri-La when we were there, they had security there. You got checked when you came in. If you walked in, if you drove in, you got checked. So it was the same thing at the B. A cab was ordered and we waited. It wasn't very long and the taxi man turned up. We had been for a swim earlier in the morning in the pool, and then we decided that we'd do a short bit of shopping, have lunch there, and then come back again. To get to the shopping centre, we had to cross over the bridge. It was Sunday mid-morning and the traffic was light. Normally the bridge does get a little bit chaotic and there can be some quite heavy traffic jams on there, but being a Sunday morning, it wasn't too bad at all. And then the ride took about 15 minutes and we pulled up outside the mall. Door-to-door service, I suppose you'd call it. But that's when the scam started. It might have already started before then, I think. I'm not sure whether the hotel staff, the security, or the taxi driver were all in collusion, or one or the other, or just a couple, or it was just the taxi driver. Not sure.
Yeah, so when we were travelling out from the resort out to the mall, we're just talking amongst ourselves, and as I say, we've been there before, and the taxi driver's like, oh, you want a trip of the city? I give you a tour of the city. You pay extra, I give you a tour of the city. And we're both like, no, it's all fine. We've been here before, we've seen it, everything like that. So we're like, no, it's all good, thank you. And you could tell he was a little bit not happy about it, cheesed off, one might say, or words to that effect. So, and then obviously we pull up, and you can tell him.
We pull up, and Carol gets out. She pretty much got out, and then the taxi driver turned around and he said that will be 700 pesos.
Double and some.
That was not what we were told at the front desk at the hotel. So I questioned it, and he said, no, I had to cross the bridge. And I'm like, well, the hotel knows that the shopping centre was across the bridge. So I didn't understand that. It was not about the money at all, whether it was 300 pesos or 700 pesos. It was what we were told, and then what happened at the end when we were getting out. So I was told 700 pesos. I fished through my money that I had, we were limited on what we had left because we'd budgeted for the amount that we needed. So we didn't have that much cash. And I think I had something like 1,000 pesos, and I didn't want to give that to him because I thought I wouldn't get any change.
I think you said something about it, and he goes, I haven't got change. It's like, Farley Charlie to that. See what else we've got.
So scrounged through and found the 700 pesos. But this was all about the principle of it, not about the money.
Yeah, and we knew we were getting scammed.
Yeah.
And there was nothing we could do about it. So, and I think I was a bit more, come on, let's just pay it and go. Whereas Gay wanted to argue the point a little bit. But I was a bit scared of the man standing at the door with the gun. And it wasn't like a little gun, it was huge.
Yeah, so he was security, and I did peer across and have a look at him, and I'm like, well, what do I do? You know, it's not like I can probably run up to him and go, he's scamming us. So I asked for a receipt, no receipt. So that got me even more cheesed off. So I was really peeved. Anyway, we got into, he drove off, paid, drove off, and we went into the mall.
And we went to Starbucks. Oh, life is good. Coffee. So I think we relaxed. After we sort of got a coffee, we spoke about it a bit, and you sort of like, oh, well.
We were safe, and no harm was done, and
That's it.
It was part of the adventure at the end of the day to get there. And we're having our coffee, and the discussion came up that we had to get back to the B Resort at some point during the day. We were very reluctant to get into another taxi, so we had to come up with plan B or C or D.
Yeah, we went shopping, had a look around all the shops. Didn't have to queue for anything. And then we decided, I think it got sort of close to lunchtime, so we decided we'd have a feed. And we'd heard about this Jollibees.
We'd seen it everywhere.
Yeah, and it was flogged everywhere. So we're like, I'll give that a crack. We're not shy on eating. Given a crack of something, and it looked like almost like a McDonald's almost, but called Jollibees. So off we go, and I think we got like a cheeseburger or something like that, and everything comes with rice. So imagine having a Macca's burger, like a cheeseburger, with it, and it comes in like a little parcel, like your burger, but it's rice. But the food was really, I think we had fried chicken.
Yeah.
And so it was a little bit like KFC, but it was really, really nice.
KFC or McDonald's? Both.
The chicken was like KFC, but the packaging, Jesus, picky. But the packaging was like McDonald's. That's what it. The packaging and the what's the word? All the advertising and the colours and everything like that was very. Yeah, the decor. Yeah, it was very McDonald's like, but the food was very KFC like, except for the rice.
So we had a feed. I think we had 2 feeds actually, because we went to a dessert bar as well. We'd had enough of where we were, and we had to figure out a way to get back to the B Resort. And we did have our mobile phones, and we did have internet connection. It is one of the good things in the Philippines. They have great internet connection or Wi-Fi.
Better than ours.
What we did was search around the area, and we knew that there was another shopping centre nearby. We worked out that we could walk there quite comfortably, and then from there we would probably be able to plot our way back to B Resort with some sort of confidence that we weren't being scammed again.
I think we're very astute at getting around when we travel. Phones make life easier though, in fairness. So we walked from the Galleria or whatever it was, the mall, and we walked. It was almost walking a straight line from one area to the other, and you walk past like this derelict area. I don't think either of us ever felt unsafe, and we've seen, that's probably one of the, Cebu was the first place we saw a lot of poverty too, and to see it, it really is confronting, people where they were living and stuff like that. So it is an eye-opener, and it definitely gives you gratitude in your life for your lifestyle and what you live in.
Yeah, and we didn't, we still felt safe.
And then we got to the new mall, and it was like a completely different world. There was people everywhere. You walked in and you're like, my God, loud, like just people and loud and...
Shuffle and...
Oh, yeah, phenomenal.
Hectic and...
And did we shop?
Anyway, that brought on the shopping spree. It was like all the busyness, the heart, the anxiety of everybody moving around and everything. It was like, money, spend. And we got into the frenzy of it all.
We had a Starbucks first, though.
Again.
Again. Yeah.
But we went into their, what was it called? Like their, one of their major retail chains.
Yeah, it'd be like going to a Myers, I suppose, almost. The equivalent of a Myers store in Melbourne or in Australia.
Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart, something like that.
Sears.
Yeah, maybe more like a Sears, yeah. So a big chain store. Yeah, and you can tell them. It was a highlight for us for the day almost, I think, apart from the food.
And we had it we stepped our foot in, and then all of a sudden the song appears, Happy by, what is it, Will Ferrell?
Farrell, yeah.
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 that song started playing, and then all the staff just started jumping around and dancing, and it's like, what in the heck is going
Singing
on?
and clapping.
Singing and clapping and, you know, getting all the customers in on it and all this sort of thing. And we're like, what the heck is going on? So we're standing there just staring, and, you know, and we're the only sort of Western people really in there with all the Filipinos, and they're all getting into it, and we're like, what the, you know. So, anyway, when I think after about the 10th occasion, we asked what in the heck was going on, and they just said it was part of a promotion weekend. They did it a few weekends prior, and they got, you know, really good sales, so they thought they'd do it again. Well, it worked because we spent a lot of money there.
But also, too, I think one of the things they were saying was not everyone got into it, the staff-wise, but some of them were, like, full on. It was awesome to see. It was really, really nice. And, I'd recommend anyone out here doing it.
It was like, you know, the cast of Disney, you know, at Disneyland, just getting into it and getting into, you know, costume and dancing away. So it was great.
It's like one of those mob things. What are they called?
Yeah.
God, what are they called? We'll get back to you on that word. You have to cut that out because I can't remember what they're called. Flash mob. Got it. Flash to me. That's what it was like, and they're all clapping, and I'd be like, oh, it's coming, and I'd be all ready to clap. Gay roller eyes.
I think we were shopping for some shoes in the middle of it, and off they go, and then they come back again.
And here's Carol clapping along.
Yeah, so it was, you know, for being scammed in the start that we had to the day to then being there in that environment was, it really was.
Oh, it was
it
awesome.
put a smile on our faces, and we were having a blast, and we were getting in on it.
It was almost a highlight of that, you know, definitely with the day, but I think you could almost, it's something you take from it going, it was so unique that, you know, you probably never experienced anything like that again. Then we had to plot our trip home, didn't we?
Yes, so we went off and had some dinner. We didn't plan to eat there, so we'd been out all day, basically. We'd had breakfast back at B, and then we'd had nearly every other meal or eaten while we were on the road or not far away from B, working out how to get back. And the only thing that I could figure out was if we could get to the airport, there's one road into the airport and one road out, and there's jeepneys that travel past the airport. So if we could get to the airport, because we didn't know the names of anything, we you know, we just had to, when we spoke to people, we had to explain that this is where we were going, and then they would sort of let us know. So the best way that we figured it out was there was a what do you call it, a bus transfer station there.
Yeah.
Bus station?
Bus station, yeah. Just on the thing, one of the things when we travel, and it doesn't matter where we go, Gay's in charge of directions and getting us from A to B. So, and regardless of the incident with the taxi and stuff like that, it's Gay's responsibility to be able to navigate us wherever we go. I'm happy to drive, but I can't navigate. It's not my strength.
Yeah, so
it's all Gay's fault.
Well, we had all this shopping. We had a couple of bags in the end.
Yeah.
We had a backpack. Well, you probably had the backpack.
I carry, that's one of the other, my strength, backpacks. And bum bags. I don't mind a bum bag, as nerdy as they are. I quite like one. So we got up to the bus station, all right. That was nice and easy.
Yeah.
And we got on a bus, which I think was
25 pesos each to get to the airport. But we get to the airport and then we wait for a jeepney to come past.
And hope it's going somewhere we want it to be going.
So I can't remember, you know, it was 2017, so I can't exactly remember all the details. However, we got on the jeepney and it was crowded. There was a few there because one hadn't come for ages. Like they're not on time going, you know, this is when they come. It's just random when they. And as you do when you get on the jeepney, I can't remember. The jeepney is something like. It's not very many pesos. It's like single digit.
I think it was like 7 pesos.
Yeah,
or something
7
stupid.
pesos. Yeah, it was. It's not very expensive anyway. So to pay, you had to send it up to the driver, and if you're at the back of the jeepney, you would send, you know, you'd pass it along, sort of thing. Yeah, and there's no social distancing on the jeepneys at all, none whatsoever.
And if you think, you got to remember too, a lot of the Filipino people are slighter built than me. So, but I think when we got on the first jeepney, we were at the back.
Yeah, we were all right. Vaguely, I think, remember that somebody goes, "This is yours," and told us to get
off. Yeah.
Told us to get off.
Yeah.
So we got off, and we're on an intersection, and we were on the corner, and we were probably on the corner with what seemed like
a million.
1 million. It's probably, that's a slight exaggeration, you know, but it was a lot, you know.
At least 500,000 then.
Maybe 100 other people waiting for jeepneys on the corner. Anyway, there's jeepneys flying past left, right and centre, and we weren't quite, you know, it's not like our bus system or our train system where it says where you're going or the numbers or...
They just yell it out.
Yeah, we didn't seem to figure out who was who or what was what, and, you know, and we only knew that we were going to back to the festival.
Yeah.
So it was a Lapu monument. I do know that, and we'd been there a few times, so we did have an idea from there. And then we knew from there that we could easily catch a jeepney or walk back to the B resort, so that was all right.
Yeah, we knew.
So
it
we're
was safe.
standing on the corner, and I don't know, we probably had about 10 Filipinos all yelling at us, you know. We told them where we were going, and then they're like, your jeepney's not coming yet. You know,
stay.
Stay. And we're standing on the corner and everyone's running around after us. And there's like, I reckon there would have been 50, you know, jeepneys.
Oh, they're everywhere.
Or probably even 100 jeepneys that went past in all sorts of directions. And they're going and people are flying on and off and everything. And it was just like, it was mayhem really for us. It was like, there was no sort of rhyme or rhythm or anything to it. It just seemed like absolute chaos.
Worked for them though. And I think the bloke had also told a woman where we were going and stuff like that too, so... And
not all of them spoke fluent English and understand where we were going and stuff and communicating that sort of thing.
But we definitely understood that. Come! On!
When our jeepney turned up, it was like being on a football field. We were just tackling everybody.
Move!
And our shopping's flying around everywhere. Anyway, I don't know how many feet we stood on, and we had to get right up to the end.
Yeah, because you get on, and they go, and you're like, no, I want to sit at the end where I can get straight off. And then, and there's no, I'm looking, they're going, you go, and I'm like, no room. And they go, no room. And these tiny little people all shovel up, and I'm like, Gay's sitting a bit further down, and I think I had the backpack on my, and trying to get my money out of my pocket. Oh, wasn't it funny?
We were sitting there and yeah, it was good. I paid the money again. So again, it was seven pesos. I don't think it matters how far we went, or at the time it was 7 pesos. I don't think it matters how far you went or how many stops or something, or... Yeah,
it was set.
I'm not sure how it sort of worked. I figured that they would tell me if they wanted more money, like the taxi driver.
Yeah, him different.
He was completely different. So as opposed to the rip-off on the taxi that charged double and a bit more, the jeepneys are all just basically one set price, pay it and away you go.
And I think because they work for the community, they're not allowed to scam anyone, and people are aware of it. Yeah, it's regulated probably a little bit better, obviously, than the taxi system.
Yeah. So we got back off at the Lapu monument where the festival was, a big festival, and it was full of food trucks,
Yeah, like food stalls all through there.
Food stalls and
people.
Yeah,
wasn't
souvenirs.
there people there?
Yeah. And they sort of had like a stage where there was singing and concerts.
That's right. They had a drag show on one night. Yeah. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, that was an eye-opener.
So what started off the day as being scammed out actually turned into one of the best adventures we'd have ever had. Forever stuck in our minds, the adventure that we had getting back. Yeah, so we went there. I don't think we did too much. I think I wanted to buy something, which is why I bought a T-shirt or something.
I bought an ice cream. Yeah. You can guarantee it. If there's a bar, Gay will buy a drink, and if there's an ice cream store, there's a good chance I'm going to buy an ice cream.
Yeah. It probably took us 2 hours. I don't really know how long it took, but we sat on the bus for a while, and the bus didn't seem to be going anywhere.
Yeah.
And we're just sitting there. And then, you know, eventually we sort of got there, and by the time that we waited for a jeepney and waited for another jeepney, it was, 15. It probably took us an hour. It wasn't...
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad at the end of the day. And then from the festival, we got another jeepney back to the resort, and then we walked, and we asked again. I think I made a point of saying that the taxi driver ripped us off.
Oh, no.
Yeah, then, no, they don't do that sort of thing. And yes, they do.
They chased it up the next day. I think they asked him to pay us back, and he said, no, that was the price. Or... Yeah,
he did come back. So the following day, they chased it up. He came back in. Like, good of him to come back in. And then he's like, no, that's a price. I had to cross the bridge. And I'm like, why surely the people at the resort understand these sorts of things. I just didn't get it. So.
Yeah. And it wasn't, I think we were just disappointed probably more for the fact that, like, we'd happily pay the money. It wasn't, it's not about the money. It was more the fact that this is what we'd been quoted or told through the resort. Everything was organised, and you get there and you're like, oh. And then, like, had we not have had change, it would have cost us 1,000 pesos as well. So there was another sort of scam on top of the scam, I suppose. So we're just disappointed more than anything.
Yeah, so it costs, so we spent 700 pesos getting there, and it was less than 100 pesos to get back.
Oh, God, a lot less.
We felt quite comfortable. The day that we were leaving, we walked up and down the street a bit where, you know, everyday life hangs out.
Yeah.
So that's our story about getting scammed in the Philippines. We like to think of it as our scam, but it was an adventure that we'll never forget. So if you like the story that we've given you about being scammed in the Philippines, we have more stories that we would like to share. I think if we can get 50 likes, should we then do another story?
We'll talk about the canyoneering.
Yeah, the canyoneering story. We've been canyoneering twice and had 2 different experiences.
Yeah.
So don't forget to hit the like button for us, please. Comment below if you've been scammed in the Philippines. We'd love to hear your stories about it. Thanks for watching and happy adventures.